At the hot spring hotel, I accidentally sent a photo of myself in a bikini to my archenemy, Felinus. He replied instantly, playing abstract art. Don't be so funny, in a flat landscape, who's wearing a bikini? Totally unaware, I happily went off to enjoy the hot springs. When I came back, I found down scenes of messages and missed calls on my phone, and I felt a shiver down my spine. Why are you at the hotel so late? Are you trying to get yourself killed? I've already found out which hotel you're at. I'll be there in an hour and a half. So get ready to meet your end. I didn't even have a chance to explain before I heard Felinus' voice outside the door. Open up. Before I could finish reading his messages, he was already at the door. I opened it with a frown. He looked disheveled, scanning me up and down with suspicion. I was in a bathrobe, and he was holding a baseball bat. That photo was sent to the wrong person. Why are you acting crazy? Before I could finish, Felinus barged into the room. He searched everywhere, even checking the trash can. What are you looking for? I'm looking for that jerk. Felinus was furious. Don't tell me you came to the hot springs alone, wearing so little fabric. I rolled my eyes. Who comes to the hot springs alone? Well, that's just great. You were single last week, and now you're here with a guy you've known for only a week. He must be a real catch. Finding nothing, Felinus asked, where's that jerk hiding? I pointed to the room next door. He was about to storm out. I lazily said, I came with my parents. They're staying next door. Felinus tossed the baseball bat into the trash can and sat her down on the sofa. Why didn't you say you were with your mom and dad? Should I go over there and greet them? It's rude to show up empty-handed. I rolled my eyes. Didn't you bring a baseball bat? It's late, my parents are already asleep. Since Felinus' mom is a close friend of my mom's, we were supposed to be close as well. Unfortunately, we've never gotten along. Even fighting as babies, it feels like we're sworn enemies from a past life. Right now, I only made a simple mistake, but he drove over 200 kilometers just to confront me. My perfect hot spring night was completely ruined. See for yourself, there's no man here. I'm still single. Are you satisfied now? Can you leave? Felinus probably couldn't stand me being in a relationship, because he's been single his whole life, since childhood. He's torn up any love letters I've received, killing any budding romances before they could even start. Satisfied that I wasn't secretly dating anyone behind his back, he seemed in a better mood. You've got such a bad temper, who would ever like you? I punched him a couple of times, but he just grinned cheekily. But now there are no vacant rooms. If I drive back for another 2.5 hours, I'm afraid I might die from exhaustion. That's not my problem. It'd be better if you just stayed outside. Such a heartless woman. Fine, I'm leaving. Felinus picked up the baseball bat from the trash can. If I die, I'll come back as a ghost and stand by your bed every night. Seeing how exhausted he looked, I softened a bit. All right, fine. Felinus immediately came to a screeching halt. You can sleep on the sofa. As it turns out, you really shouldn't soften up, especially with enemies. Are you asleep yet? Are you asleep? Are you really asleep? Felinus, lying on the sofa, asked me every 2 minutes. I pretended to be asleep, ignoring him. Can't sleep? Huh? No grinding teeth? Are you pretending? I couldn't take it anymore and snapped. Are you out of your mind? Who grinds their teeth while they sleep? Felinus smirked with an I knew it look and chuckled. When you were little and slept next to me, you'd grind your teeth. It was terrifying. Come on, that was when I was 3. Can we not talk about it now? I'm tired. I want to sleep. I can't sleep. The sofa is too short, and I can't stretch my legs. I ignored him, turning it over to continue sleeping. Felinus started talking again. Hey, forgot to ask. Who were you sending that bikini photo to, with such little fabric? What kind of cover? Last summer at the pool, you were way more. I rolled my eyes several times, even with my eyes closed, and growled, mind your own business. I've watched you grow up. How can I not care? His voice was right next to me, making me jump. I opened my eyes to find Felinus, shirtless, standing at the edge of my bed, with a blanket wrapped around him. What are you doing? I jumped out of bed. Why are you suddenly so close? He looked serious and asked, so, are you going to tell me who you were sending the photo to? To Charla. Okay. Charla is my best friend, and Felinus knows her. He flopped down on the floor beside my bed. Charla? Huh? You should have said so earlier. His noise kept me awake, while he sprawled on the floor with his eyes closed. Hey, does it really look that bad? Yeah, it looks bad. Okay, since you think it looks bad, then the senior won't find it appealing either. Felinus, who was already lying down, jumped up with a start. What senior? What are you planning to do with that outfit? Say it again. I knew he would get worked up. Whenever there's a chance I might start dating, Felinus gets more anxious than anyone else. Seeing him irritated makes me feel better. I turned away and lightly said, going to the beach with the senior. Good night, dark boy. Felinas was clearly pissed off, and I could hear him breathing heavily. Is it that guy with the glasses from the student council? The one with the gold-rimmed glasses? I remember him. He seems like no good. You're going to the beach with him. Then came the sound of him pacing back and forth, wearing that tiny swimsuit. I really think you're asking for trouble. Say something. I quietly enjoyed his frustration and replied, I'm falling asleep. Turn around. Felinas threw off his blanket and turned me to face him. No sleeping. He was too close, with his hands braced on either side of my head. Since we stopped fighting at 10, this was the closest we'd been. And he was shirtless. We both frowned. After a moment of silence, I was the first to speak. Why is your face so red? It wasn't just his face. His ears were bright red too. Felinas swallowed hard and said, You're getting me worked up. His red face was unusually serious, lacking his usual nonchalant attitude. Up close, I noticed that he had developed a great physique, broad shoulders and a narrow waist, completely blocking my view of the ceiling. I, who have only seen well-built men online, was seeing one in person for the first time, and he was right in front of me. Feeling suddenly impulsive, I reached out and lightly poked his defined abs. He immediately grabbed my wrist, his breathing growing heavy, eyes darkening. Collis, what are you doing? My hand still touching his skin felt incredibly hot. I've never touched a real set of abs before. As I spoke, I couldn't help but feel the firmness of his muscles. Felinas let out a muffled groan, his neck veins bulging. He frowned as if struggling with something, then suddenly let go and grabbed the blanket, walking away. Hey, I called out, where are you going? He didn't turn back and said, going to sleep on the sofa. You said you couldn't stretch your legs. Just forget it, as if I were eager to interface. I muttered angrily, seriously, who was it just now that kept me up and even pinned me to the bed? There was an unusual silence before Felina's voice, now a bit hoarse, finally replied, not making any noise now, I'm going to take a shower. Good night. We both had a terrible night's sleep. I spent the night dreaming of well-built men, feeling their muscles in my dreams. Felinas, it seemed, couldn't sleep due to insomnia and took to cold showers. Good things are indeed rare. Will has trouble sleeping and takes cold showers. The next day, we both sported dark circles under our eyes. Then my mom stuffed me into Felina's car. Such energy, you young people out, driving over 200 kilometers in the middle of the night just to meet up. On the way back, you'll ride with Felinas, chat with him so it doesn't get sleepy. My mom smiled with a knowing look. At that moment, it felt like my own mother was fake, and Felinas was her real son. Putting us in the same car, there was no worry about someone falling asleep, only about whether we'd start fighting. Felinas drove with a scowl. You better not provoke me. I'm in a bad mood. So, I ignored him. After a while, he awkwardly asked, Are you really going to the beach with that fried guy? His jealousy was palpable. I clicked my tongue. It's a student council team to building event. Last semester's advanced math, thanks to him helping me out, I didn't fail. I invited him to dinner, but he paid instead. Felinas interrupted. He helped you with tutoring, and you still treated him to dinner. Yeah, but I couldn't invite him. I'm thinking of getting him a gift to thank him. Do you think cookies are too outdated? I heard a crunching sound and asked, What's that noise? You still want to make cookies? Is there a problem? I looked around, but saw nothing unusual. Hey, did you hear something crunching? Felina sneered coldly. Go ahead, make your cookies. There'll be enough to poison him, make plenty, and try to get rid of him in one go. I let out a yell and went to grab him, but Felinas kept the car steady. Do you really want to die with me? I was so annoyed that I started silently chanting. Fine, I won't argue with a dog. Meeting Felinas in this life, I guess it's just my lot. On the day of the team to building event, I still brought the little bear cookies I baked myself. Charlotte said, to show gratitude, you never know when you might need someone to help you out again this semester. Holding the not-so-pretty cookies, I nervously made my way to the dinner venue. I hoped my upperclassman wouldn't mind the cookies being a bit burnt. He probably won't. He's a nice person. Unlike some people. A gust of wind blew past, and suddenly a tall, dark figure stopped right in front of me. I was stunned, and before I could process what was happening, the bag of cookies was snatched from my hand. Felinas, out of breath, ripped open the bag and started shoving cookies into his mouth. What's wrong with you? I reached out to grab the bag. Felinas ran off with the cookies. I chased him, hitting him as I ran, while I fled and ate. After taking a few more hits, he finally returned the crumpled cookie bag to me, his mouth still stuffed with cookies. That was close. I almost starved. Looking at the cookies in my hand, now completely unpresentable, I felt a surge of anger. Are you a dog? Just because you see something doesn't mean you have to eat it. Felinas managed to swallow the last of the cookies and grinned smugly. Don't worry about it, I ate them. But they weren't bad. Next time, make a bigger batch for me. I kicked him in frustration. In your dreams, why are you even here? He raised an eyebrow. I came to eat cookies. I threw the remaining cookies at him and walked away. Eat them all, hope you choke. I had carefully picked out a few decent cookies, and now they were all gone, eaten by this dog. Felinas followed me, looking annoyingly cheerful. Where are you going? Having dinner. Let me join. I'd like to meet your classmates. He was like a stubborn sticker that wouldn't come off. I remembered back in high school, when a boy confessed to me after school. He was nervous and stumbling over his words. Just as I was about to politely decline, Felinas showed up out of nowhere, threw his arm around my shoulders, and coldly said, her brother doesn't allow her to date early, so don't bother. From then on, Felinas always waited for me after school, looking like a wall of ice, cutting off all my romantic prospects. This sticky situation lasted until college, when I finally managed to shake him off for a while. And now, that terrible and familiar feeling was back. Tonight, my upperclassman had invited me to dinner alone, and I had planned to use it as an opportunity to give him the ugly cookies. But now, with the cookies gone and a baggage added, it was all ruined. Sorry, Trent. I ran into my mom's good friend's son. Felinas pushed me aside and sat her down, making himself at home. He's not related by blood, but he's like a good older brother since we grew up together. He emphasized good older brother. I sighed, and Trent gave a composed smile. So you're Kala's brother? Hello, I'm Trent. He extended his hand, which Felinas shook firmly. Hello, Kala said. You've been taking care of her, so as her brother, I'm here to thank you. This meal is on me. Trent smiled politely and gently declined. Tonight is my personal dinner with Kalas, so there's no need for you to pay. Their conversation was loaded with subtle tension. The two men's handshake became increasingly firm, their knuckles turning white. I quickly intervened. How about we split the bill? Trent agreed, as Kalas suggests. Felinas agreed too, as Kalas suggests. With that brief moment of agreement, I sighed with relief. The dinner was filled with unspoken rivalry between Felinas and Trent. Their exchanges were more about each other than me. We're sorry for causing trouble. Kalas is a bit scatterbrained. If I don't keep an eye on her, she tends to mess things up. Felinas kept referring to me as Kalas, which made my hair stand on end. Normally, our interactions were filled with insults like nutcase or dog. Trent maintained his unflappable smile. Not at all. Kalas is very quick to learn. You're too kind. His gaze suddenly turned to me, full of warmth. And it's natural to be good to someone you care about. I shivered involuntarily. I had been eating with gusto, but now I was frown scene in place. Trent continued calmly. I know this is a bit forward, but I was planning to confess tonight. Since you're Kala's brother, I thought it would be good for you to witness it. Felinas ground his teeth. I said he's just a brother with no blood relation, but he's still a brother, right? Felinas' face turned various shades of red and white. His jaw clenched visibly. I feared he might explode if someone confessed to me in front of him. After all, for him, who was a notorious single, this was a tough situation. Fortunately, Felinas took a few deep breaths and managed to control his anger. Fine. If you want to pursue Kalas, you'll have to outdrink me first. I don't usually drink. Felinas raised his chin lazily. Scared. Trent smiled gently. If you want to drink, I'll accompany you. I heard a crunching sound, and Felinas asked aggressively, white or beer? Up to you, big brother. Felinas slammed the table. Bring both. Beer is just right for rinsing out the mouth. The table was soon filled with an assortment of drinks, white wine, beer, and spirits. I watched them with my milk in hand. I had never seen Felinas drink before, and his earlier arrogance made me think he could handle his liquor well. But before we were halfway through, Felinas was already out cold. Trent and I exchanged an awkward smile. Trent, can you book another room? He's too drunk to go back. Trent waved it off. Don't worry about it. It's no trouble. Felinas, slumped on the table and completely out of it, still wore his usual scowl. I'm really sorry about today. He's always a bit of a nutcase. If he's said anything offensive, please don't take it personally. Trent was slightly tipsy, with a subtle blush on his cheeks. Is he really your brother? I hesitated. Kind of. Do you see him as a brother? Why do you ask? Trent shook his head gently. I'm just a bit drunk. Kalas, what I said earlier was sincere. If possible, I just want a fair chance. Trent always had a refreshing, clear presence. At this moment, his gaze was as gentle as a calm moon, waiting for my response. His company was always peaceful and comfortable, but if it were about romance, something always seemed missing. I opened my mouth, but before I could speak, the man slumped on the bed, suddenly sat up with a groan, and shouted, "Where's the alcohol? Fill it up. No watering down." He then toppled over onto me. I struggled to get him back on the table and said to Trent, "Thank you for your feelings, but Felinas groaned again. Who wants to be the big brother? I won't do it." My sentence was abruptly cut off by Felinas, but Trent, being perceptive, must have known what I was about to say. He looked at Felinas and then at me. his eyes still warm and gentle. It's okay. I respect whatever decision you make. Even if we're just friends, I'm still glad. Then Felinas threw up out of nowhere. If he hadn't done it twice, I would have suspected it was all an act. Fortunately, Trent didn't hold it against him and helped me carry him back to the hotel. After sending Trent off, I tossed a towel onto Felina's face. If you can't handle your liquor, then don't drink. Now you've embarrassed me in front of my school. Felinas curled up on the bed, groaning in discomfort. I sighed and scrubbed his face with a heavy hand, as if trying to wipe off his skin. Felina's face was flushed, whether from the alcohol or my scrubbing. I couldn't tell. I continued to scold him as I cleaned him up. Are you out of your mind? Can you gauge your own drinking capacity? Besides, drinking harms your body. With your tolerance, and you're shouting about making someone drink first. No, look, you're actually passed out. Am I supposed to belong to him now? You're really getting on my nerves. Suddenly, my wrist was grabbed, startling me. Felinas had woken up without me noticing. He looked at me with a confused expression. After a long silence, he softly said, I'm sorry. I almost thought I misheard him. He repeated, I'm sorry for making you embarrassed. His sudden apology was hard to adjust to. Are you okay? Did the alcohol mess up your brain? Felinas didn't reply, but his eyes were starting to redden. I had never seen him like this before. He usually argued with me, and now he was about to cry, which made me too embarrassed to continue scolding him. I tried to offer some comfort. Well, it's not the end of the world, although it's a bit embarrassing. It's just a little. Next time, just don't overestimate your limits. Felinas ignored my comfort, staring at me with what seemed like dark waves in his eyes. Your upperclassman likes you. Yeah. He treats you well. Yeah. He seems like a nice person. Yeah. Felina's throat bobbed, his eyes darkening. I like you too. Yeah. My first reaction was that Felinas was playing a prank on me. I searched his face for any signs of trickery, but only saw his eyes turning redder. I was here first, so is it too late now? You like the upperclassman, and he likes you. It seemed like he was choking on his words, and Felinas grabbed my shoulders, his fingertips trembling. Can you not like him? I was overwhelmed with a sharp, metallic ringing in my ears, and my heart raced uncontrollably. It felt like something was fermenting inside me, about to fill my entire heart. Felina's gaze was so intense it made my face burn. After a long pause, I finally said, it looks like you're about to cry. And then Felinas locked himself in the bathroom. Did he get hurt emotionally? I was at a loss, not sure whether to stay or go, and I wondered if I should say a few comforting words. For instance, it's okay for guys to cry. Or I could say, you're doing great just as you are. After thinking it over, I decided to call my best friend, Charla. She had pointed out that all the signs showing that Felinas was acting against me were actually because he liked me. She even read my fortune, claiming I was about to have a romantic breakthrough, and that Felinas would confess his feelings in the next couple of days. At the time, I looked at her as if she were crazy, but now I'm starting to suspect Charla might have some hidden talent for fortune telling. I explained the whole situation to her, and she burst out laughing on the other end of the line, her laughter echoing so loudly I thought it might shake the walls. It turned out Felinas knew where I was for our team to building event, because that traitor Charla had let it slip. I told you, didn't you see how flustered he was when he saw you? He even cried. Oh my gosh, a man's tears are like a woman's aphrodisiac. I can't even imagine a tall guy like him crying in front of me. Wow, Collis, you must have it good. The more Charla talked, the more excited she became, so I quickly interrupted her. Think of something. He's locked himself in the bathroom. He's not secretly crying, is he? Okay, let's get serious. Charla cleared her throat. Why don't you go knock on the door? Knock on the door. And then what? What do I even say? Right now, I'm so nervous I could dig a hole in the floor. Then ask him if he wants to come out and cry in your arms. Ha ha ha. Charla's uproarious laughter almost shattered my eardrums. It's true what they say. The least reliable person in times like this is your best friend, especially just as I was about to let a curse word slip. Suddenly, I heard a click, and the bathroom door swung open. I hurriedly ended the call. Felina stepped out slowly, his face and hair dripping with water, his t-shirt collar soaked. The hair hanging over his forehead was also dripping. I cautiously asked, "Are you okay?" "I'm not okay." He took a step forward, pushing me against the wall. I tried to slip away from the side, but he blocked my escape route with his hand. It was a perfect wall slam. I was trapped. Whether or not you and that senior have feelings for each other, I've decided I need to say this. You, let me finish. You're too close. It's hot. Felinas towered over me, and as he leaned down, the pressure made me want to escape, but I was pressed against the wall. His closeness brought an overwhelming warmth, making me feel like I might catch fire. Let's keep it this way. If I back off, I'm afraid you'll run. His eyes were lowered, intensely staring at me. Collis, I like you. It's not a whim or a sudden impulse. I've liked you since the first time I pulled your braid. I murmured softly. Who pulls someone's braid because they like them? This isn't a joke. I really like you very much. You've been in my dreams every night. I squinted at him, murmuring, wait, you don't have some perverted thoughts in your head, do you? Felinas finally lost his patience and leaned in closer. If you keep interrupting me, I'll kiss you. I covered my mouth and challenged. You dare. What's there to be afraid of? Worst case, I kiss you and you kill me afterward. Anyway, you're going to date that green tea senior, right? Who's green tea? And who says I'm going to date him? Aren't you? His eyes suddenly lit up. You're not going to date him, are you? Just a moment ago, he looked all gloomy while confessing, but now he seemed to be full of life. I pouted. Not dating him doesn't mean I want to date you. Felina smirked, raising an eyebrow, reverting to his usual cheeky self. He leaned down, whispering in my ear, how about we give it a try? Try what? I looked at him wearily. Don't you look at hot guys every day? You know, with the big chests and washboard abs. Do you have any idea how long I've been working on my physique? I remember the time when Felinas was just a skinny guy. I used to call him a thin bamboo stick. I had no idea when he developed such a great body. Thinking back to the day he was shirtless, I couldn't deny he looked really good. I couldn't help but swallow hard. Why, you know I look at hot guys. Is that the point? What else could it be? Felinas lifted his shirt, gently biting the hem, looking at me with a teasing smile, just checking my results. Then he grabbed my hand and pressed it firmly against his abs. My mind went blank. The little bit of rationality I had was blown to pieces. My hand, however, seemed to have a mind of its own, pressing down on his warm abs. Callous. I looked up, our eyes locking. Before I could react, his lips were on mine. Felinas only pressed gently against me. I could even feel his nervousness, his eyelashes fluttering slightly. What seemed like a domineering kiss was easy to push away. For some reason, my heart felt soft and sank. In a moment of impulse, I wrapped my arms around his neck, deepening the kiss. A wave of refreshing mint flooded over me. Felina sensed my response and finally stopped holding back. His lips and tongue explored, with a forceful intensity. I felt weak all over, gasping for air. My hands trying to push him away, but he tightened his grip on the back of my neck. Felinas pinned me against the wall like a hungry tiger, unwilling to let me go until I bit him hard. Are you trying to kill me? I struggled to breathe, gasping for fresh air, noticing it wasn't in much better shape. We both looked like we had just sprinted 100 meters. He asked me, do you feel anything? I felt my cheeks flush, my gaze wondering, what feeling? What were you thinking? Felinas pulled me into his arms. I'm asking if you feel your heart racing. Listen to my heartbeat, it's about to explode. I pressed against his chest, feeling his heartbeat pounding in my ears. It was indeed fast, like a rapid drum beat. Suddenly, I realized what I had been missing with Trent, because my heartbeat, in that moment, matched Felinas. Later, I escaped back to my room, because Felinas had a nosebleed. I was afraid that if I stayed a moment longer, he might explode, tossing and turning in bed. I hugged my blanket and rolled around. Tonight felt surreal, my heart still racing uncontrollably, refusing to calm down. I tried to recall all the clues about Felinas liking me. Was tearing up love letters a sign of affection? What about that rainy day when he sheltered my head under his coat? Or when he tossed me his meal card, saying I looked as skinny as a skeleton? Was that love? Remembering my birthday each year, complaining yet wrapping gifts carefully, was that love too? There were so many awkward moments I had previously seen as naturally clashing. Now I could see in each of those small acts his tender, hidden feelings. At 3 a.m., Felinas messaged me, saying he'd taken 3 cold showers and watched 5 ghost stories, and now he was unnaturally calm. I asked him what he wanted. He said he missed me. I told him to get lost. At 4 a.m., Felina sent me over a dowsing cute dog emojis, trying to awaken my sympathy. I replied with an image that said, Master has received. At 5 a.m., the two of us, having been sleepless all night, finally reached a consensus and headed to the beach to wait for sunrise on empty stomachs. We sat our days side by side, the sky just starting to show a hint of dawn. The sea breeze brushed against our faces, sweeping away all the fatigue. Felina suddenly pressed my head against his shoulder, saying, You can lean on my shoulder. I burst out laughing. Felinas, you're so cheesy. Isn't that what movies do? The female lead leans on the male lead's shoulder while watching the sunrise. I rolled my eyes, then suddenly remembered a lingering question I had. Hey, last night, why didn't you smell like alcohol? I clearly remembered him being so drunk. He threw up several times, yet the kiss was all minty fresh. Felinas gazed at the horizon, laughing carefree, because I brushed my teeth. You brushed your teeth. I looked at him in disbelief. Yeah. I secretly brushed them while hiding in the bathroom. He seemed quite proud. I don't go into battle unprepared. You had this all planned out and wanted to kiss me. Please, I've been thinking about it for over a decade. The dawn was completely painted golden. The sun leaped out from the clouds, and the bright gold splashed all over the sea. Wow, the sun is rising. I cheered excitedly, reaching to tap Felinis on the shoulder, only to find him staring at me in a daze. What are you looking at? Look at the sunrise. Felinis just looked at me, his eyes illuminated by the sunrise, with only my reflection in them. In movies, this is the moment when the leads kiss. As he leaned in to kiss me, I caught that refreshing mint scent again. This kiss was tender and lingering, our breaths intertwining as I heard Felinis' slow voice. Good morning, girlfriend. Going from enemies to lovers was quite the leap. I still preferred to call him Doc, since for so many years, that's how I had saved his contact. Felinis wouldn't accept it, constantly finding ways to annoy me until I changed the contact name. I'm used to it. Dogs are so cute. Don't you like dogs? That won't do. It's not intimate at all. Look, I saved your numbers, baby. That wasn't my idea. Who said dogs like me? Woof. After much effort on Felinis' part, the contact name evolved from Dog to Dog Baby. He seemed quite satisfied with it. As for me, I figured someday I would drop the prefix altogether. Back when we didn't get along, I thought Felinis was more of a wild dog type, but now that our relationship had changed, I realized his true nature seemed more like a puppy. He was annoyingly clingy. So, when he suddenly showed up downstairs at my dorm after the semester started, I wasn't surprised at all, even though it was only the second day of school. What are you doing here? I looked at this guy, who had graduated 2 years ago. He was dressed in a white t-shirt and black sweatpants, his hair tousled, and he even changed his watch band to a sporty one. It was obvious he had put in a lot of effort to create a look of effortless cool. Today, this guy's persona might be the pure and innocent college boy type. He moved in close and asked to cuddle. I miss having a girlfriend. Can I come over? With people coming and going downstairs in the dorm, I quickly pushed him away and said, You're just in time, help me carry the water. Today was the student union's basketball game against the freshmen, and I was in charge of logistics. Felinis showed up uninvited and turned out to be free labor. It wasn't until I took the court as an extra player for our side that I noticed he was wearing basketball shoes. Did he come prepared? He even high-fived Trent when he came on the court. After he dunked on a couple of freshmen, I was sure he was here to show off. This friendly match originally had few spectators, but as Felinis and Trent's game became more intense, cheers started rising from the crowd. I was guarding 2 cases of bottled water, and soon, a group of girls gathered around to watch the game. Every time Felinis scored, he glanced over at me, causing the area around me to erupt in screams, not to mention his showy move of pulling up his t-shirt to wipe sweat and flaunting his abs. The girls behind me were buzzing. Ah, so handsome. Who is he? Which department is he from? He keeps looking over here. Is he someone's boyfriend? I shrank my neck and tried to blend into the crowd. The friendly game turned into a match as fierce as a varsity game. Felinis had incredible jumping ability and grabbed countless rebounds, while Trent was steady with his three-pointers, proving to be an excellent guard. By the end, the freshmen had no chance, and the score gap widened to down scenes of points. After the game, several girls immediately surrounded Felinis and Trent to offer them water. Felinis pointed towards me and walked over. Sweetheart, where's the water? He extended his hand, and everyone's gaze turned toward me. I was mortified. I pulled out 2 bottles of water to hand to him, but Felinis didn't take them. Instead, he bent down, picked up the bottle I had drawn from, and chugged it. The crowd erupted again. My heart, which had been racing, finally sank. Trent, carrying a bunch of water bottles, paused as he passed us. Great game, bro. Let's hang out again sometime. Bro, I'm Kala's serious boyfriend now. Right now, but who knows about the future? Trent smiled slightly and said to me, Kalas, I'm leaving now. Bye. I waved and quickly pulled the fuming Felinis away. He looked at me with a sulky expression. Baby, look at him, for I green tea. The remaining crowd all turned to look at us. I hurriedly dragged Felinis away. It turns out that after we started dating, this jealous guy immediately told Trent. The senior, ever polite and gentle, only said, There's more than just me who likes Kalas at this school. And then Felinis blew up right there, and Trent managed to secure us a free extra player for the student union. Walking through campus, Felinis was moody, but held my hand tightly. I asked him, Why'd you come here to show off? Don't you trust me? This is called territorial awareness. You wouldn't understand. I stifled a laugh and said, You're really like a dog. Fine, call me a dog. A dog with a wife is not shameful. A person without shame is unbeatable. He won, and nothing I say can hurt him now. Holding my hand, Felinas gently rubbed my fingers. Suddenly, I felt a chill. Looking up, I saw a 6-claw diamond ring on my ring finger. My heart skipped a beat. What's this? Felinas, with his hands in his pockets, grinned proudly. I've got a little money. I pretended to take it off, and he knelt down on one knee. Collis, in 5 days it will be your 21st birthday. It's also the 21st year since we met, and the countless years I've liked you. From now on, you'll be the only one who can bully me. I won't hit back or retort. I'll only be good to you. Every promise I make to you, I'll keep. Every word I say is sincere. When you're happy, I'll share your joy. When you're unhappy, I'll make you smile. I'll always think you're the most beautiful. You're in my dreams and my heart. Please become my lawful wife someday, no matter how long it takes. I can't wait. These are lines from my favorite movie, which I've watched thousands of times. I know this dialogue by heart. In the sunset glow, the guy I like is kneeling, confessing with lines from my favorite movie. I should be incredibly moved. If only there weren't so many onlookers taking pictures. I yanked Felinas up and dashed through the crowd. Does that mean you're saying yes? If not, I'll kneel again. Yes, yes, yes. I heard Felinas' victorious chuckle. He's still as much of a dog as ever, but fortunately, there's plenty of time. We can settle any future score slowly. The story ends here. Feel free to subscribe to our channel for the latest updates, with new novels added daily.